So I've been in lots of these houses, and you go down to the basement, and you can just smell the mold. All right, and if it's an unfinished basement, you can pull out your little cell phone flashlight and you can shine it. You can see the black mold growing on some of these basements. This is something you need to be aware of. So this video is on the pros and cons of living in South Windsor, this neighborhood right here. My name is Ryan. I'm a real estate agent and I'm a real estate appraiser, so I'm in and out of these homes all the time. I know this city well. If you're looking to move to Windsor, people call me all the time from YouTube asking for help on purchasing a home. My number's on the screen. Feel free to give me a call or shoot me a text or a carrier pigeon or whatever you're into, okay? Let's go. Starting with the cons, okay, con number one about South Windsor is that it's very expensive. It really is. South Windsor has this prestige to its name, and because of that, you're going to pay a premium. For example, look at this house right here. So this sold recently for $575,000. If I were to pick up that home and I were to plop that home in, let's say, Riverside, which is also a nice area, with similar homes, it's going to sell like $100,000 less or close to $100,000. Why? Because there's a prestige to this name, South Windsor. People want to live in South Windsor. So this area here on the map is the cheapest in South Windsor, okay? So you're going to pay anywhere from $500 if it needs a little bit of work and it doesn't have a garage. Yeah, $500, and then maybe up to $650 if it's immaculate and it's got a nice 2-car detached garage in the back. That's the bottom of the barrel price range for South Windsor, not including semis. You can get a good semi in South Windsor too. Maybe I'll talk about that in another video. Let's go over to this area here. This is Walker Gates. These are all like 20 years old or newer. They're still building some right now. You're going to pay anywhere from like $700K for a raised ranch to like $900 if it's a new build raised ranch with the bonus room on top, looking something like this. Now down here is Southwood School District. I'll talk more about Southwood School District when we get to the pros, but people want to live there, okay? You're going to pay a premium for being in that school district, so you're going anywhere from like $600K at the bare minimum, looking something like this, all the way up to like $2 million. There's a bunch of other areas in South Windsor I could tell you about. I just don't want to go through all of them in this video, but just know the cheapest was like $500. People call me from YouTube all the time. They're like, Ryan, can we get a house for like, I want to live in South Windsor and I have $400,000. And I'm like, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I get why you want to live there, but it's an expensive area. You're going to get a safe neighborhood, a great house in a great school district, but it's going to cost you a little bit more. There's going to be a premium for that. Also, please take note that the prices that you see on Realtor.ca are not accurate in Windsor. This area is kind of stupid. People will list the house really low in order to attract buyers. And you know, before when like everyone got like 10 offers on their house, it made sense. It doesn't really make sense anymore, but people still do it, and it's really frustrating and annoying for buyers, so I get that. If you see a house and you want to know what it'll actually sell for, just shoot me a text and I'll help you out. So con number two about South Windsor is wet basements. Now, I did not use the word flooding on purpose because like Windsor did have a flooding problem before. I touched about this in my first pros and cons video. That's been solved. All right, you don't really have to worry about that anymore. Like, there isn't tons of water, like, coming into your basement. That's not going to happen again, all right? But a lot of these houses were built around the 1960s with block foundation. So was my house. That's not a problem. But if you don't take care of your home, there can be some problems that can emerge. So the main thing you need to do is make sure water doesn't pool around your foundation, right? So eavesdrops coming down off your house, they should have extensions on them so that they're not just dropping water at the base of your house. Because then what happens is the ground around your foundation gets soaked with water, and water finds its way in. It seeps in through the pores in the cement. It turns to vapor and gets through that way. There's condensation that can happen on the inside of your house in the basement on the other side of that block foundation. So you really need to make sure that you're taking care of the water around your house. Now, you're smart. You probably will, but other people didn't. So I've been in lots of these houses, and you go down to the basement, and you can just smell the mold. All right, and if it's an unfinished basement, you can pull out your little cell phone flashlight, and you can shine it. You can see the black mold growing on some of these basements. This is something you need to be aware of. Now, think about it, right? Like, if you go down there, it's going to hit you right away. Like, you'll smell it. But sometimes you'll go down into a basement that's finished, and you'll kind of smell it, but you're like, I can't see it because it's a finished basement. Well, those are situations where you might want to call your home inspector, and he can come through and he can shine the little heat gun on the wall, and the display will actually tell him where there's cool spots, and those are the spots that water is getting in. So a home inspection can be very helpful in situations like that. But honestly, if you're just diligent when you're looking at homes, you really shouldn't have a problem, okay? You can tell if a home's been taken care of well. You can walk around the perimeter of the home and see if there's any ground sloping towards the foundation. And again, when you walk in that basement, like, you're going to smell it for the most part if it's there. And there's signs you can look for. Like, you can see if they've had water before. You'll see stuff like this, or efflorescence, right? That's like salt left behind from the water on the brick. You'll notice stuff like that. Be aware of it, because I do see it frequently. I don't know if I should say frequently. More frequently than other areas, anyway. In South Windsor, it's not like an epidemic or anything, but it's just something to be aware of when shopping for a house in South Windsor that is block foundation. So those are my 2 cons for today. Now, let's get on to the pros. What are the great reasons why somebody would want to move to South Windsor? Pro number 1 is the best schools, okay? This is actually really important, okay? Because most people call me wanting to know where the best schools are. And LaSalle has some great schools. Tecumseh has some great schools. But, like, Southwood School District right here gets the most people talking, okay? So the Fraser Institute is this nonprofit organization that does many things, but amongst them, one of those things is to rank schools based on how well the students do on testing, okay? So the Fraser Institute rated Southwood Public School 8.4 out of 10, which is about as good as it gets. I've seen some around 9, but they rarely get that high. Most schools are around 5 or 6. But to get to 8.4, you've got to be a really good school. Look at it this way. There are over 3,000 different schools that are measured as a part of this, and Southwood was ranked 169 out of 3,000, which means it's a better school than like 2,800 other schools in Canada. That's pretty good. Now, we just touched on this before in the expensive section, in the cons section of this video, but you will pay more for being in Southwood School District. So this house right here sold for $650,000. If that was a few streets north in a different school district, probably would have sold for $550,000, $575,000. So you're paying like an extra $100,000 just to be in this school district, which makes sense. It's a great school district. The price of housing in this district also goes all the way up to like $2 million. Like, there's some big houses in that area. Southwood Lakes has houses like this. That's in that school district, just so you know. So yeah, the cheapest you can get into that school district is definitely like in the 6s generally. All right, last but not least, the last pro is location, okay? This is a lot of the reason why people want to live in South Windsor. Look where it's located, okay? Look at all these thoroughfares, okay? There's your word of the day, thoroughfares. The 401 is right here. It like cuts into South Windsor. So there's many different neighborhoods in South Windsor where you're at the doorsteps of the 401. If you travel to Toronto or travel to see family in London or Kitchener or anywhere else, it's no time at all to get on the 401, okay? Like in Walker Gates, you're right here, 401, right there. If you're in this part of South Windsor, 401's right there, okay? Now look at this road. This is our expressway. It's called the EC Row, and it shoots you across Windsor very quickly. So if you need to go to Tecumseh or way out in Lakeshore, you just hop on this road and you get there very quickly, okay? So I personally would not want to live far from the EC Row. It's essential. Well, look, in South Windsor, you're pretty much right at the on-ramp in many different locations. So that's another reason it's great. And also, look at this. That's the bridge to Detroit. Okay, if you're going to Detroit, this is one of the ways you can take to get there. And this road that leads to the bridge, again, cuts right through South Windsor. It's a very good spot to be located. Also, look at this road here. This is Walker Road. It's one of the main strips, and it has most of what you need. It's got Costco. It's got Best Buy, it's got Loblaws, it's got Canadian Tire, it's got all the major stuff, okay? But if it's not there, it's going to be on Dougal Road. Dougal's over here. You got Walmart on Dougal. You got great restaurants like Armando's, Capri Pizza, John Mack's, all sorts of different great essential things you need in your community. And there's also the mall nearby, like the major mall. Devonshire Mall is right there. And then we also, still in South Windsor, is our outlet mall. Okay, these are all outlet stores, so it's discounted prices on major brands. So there's a Banana Republic outlet, there's a Roots outlet, there's an Aldo outlet. There's lots of different outlet stores in there where you can get expensive brands for a little bit cheaper. So that's it for your pros and cons for this week. There's probably more pros and cons that I forgot about, but I wanted to do a shorter video for you this week. Again, if you want to move to Windsor and you need some help, feel free to give me a call. My number's on the screen. You can text me. You can call me. Hit subscribe, hit like, and I'll have another video for you probably in like a week.